That spark of innovation, it's just waiting for the perfect combination of tools and talent to bring it to life. Welcome to Pitch, Build, Scale. I'm your host, Chris Fanchi, a recovering startup founder, veteran SaaS marketer, turned dev tech enthusiast and growth specialist. Each episode, we connect with the builders, the visionaries, and the problem solvers who are redefining what's possible with today's technology and pioneering the websites, apps, and software products of tomorrow. These are the conversations that transform how we build, how we sell, and how we scale technology businesses in a world where the tech evolves by the minute. Ready to stay ahead of the curve? This is Pitch, Build, Scale.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest. For those of you just joining the podcast, we're Big North Marketing and specialize in helping dev shops and SaaS companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your SaaS or dev business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs. We're really excited to have today's guest, Soner, CEO at PONS. Soner's on a mission to democratize access to diagnostic imaging through software-only AI innovations that turn everyday ultrasound devices into early warning systems for cancer detection. He's combining deep expertise in emerging tech, international business development, and life sciences innovation. Soner, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited.
That's great to have you. So to get started, tell me a little bit about your background. What is your origin story? How did you first get it started in emerging tech and healthcare?
Sure. So we started PONS with my twin brother. So to be honest, we are two co-founders. A bit background about myself. So I did study CS way back. And then I did my MBA at Rotterdam in the Netherlands. The reason for that, basically, I started working in CMAS medical technologies. So at that time, it was called medical technologies, and I was responsible for emerging technologies. So basically, scouting new tech that we can integrate, buy, acquire, or merge with our existing system. But everything was focused on large, expensive devices, can be used only in the hospitals, needs extensive training and such. So, but in the meantime, we were basically seeing or feeling that healthcare is changing. That was even before 3-4 years before COVID. So basically, how the healthcare system is can also be like decentralized, basically not only focusing on hospitals and such, but everyone was thinking that, okay, we still have 15-20 years time till that happens and such. And in the meantime, I was also following up my brother's research, who was also at that time a prof at Rutgers University in New Jersey. And he was leading the smart surgeries and diagnostics labs. And he was obsessed with ultrasound, that's a great technology, a huge potential, but it was not really scaling at that moment. So, and then basically COVID happened. So because we were discussing, okay, that's a good opportunity to make imaging decentralized, because ultrasound is the only tool that you can do that, either mobile or small. And then COVID hit. And obviously, that was the starting point that we said, okay, healthcare system is definitely changing, and it's changing really fast. It will be decentralized, and medical imaging will play a key role there. And then we kicked it off in 23, and here we are.
Very interesting. So have you always been interested in entrepreneurship, or have you taken a different route to get there?
That's a good question. And yeah, so I was, because the thing at that time when I was working in a large corporate, so I was always the ones that was volunteering for, okay, I can go to new markets, I can see emerging markets, or I can look into new verticals. That was entrepreneurship, within the company. But it was always this thing, okay, we can do more. And I always liked innovation and bringing new stuff to the market, on the business side. And then basically I tried a couple of things before. It was basically, again, integrated with smart cities and such. But it was always my passion to follow, okay, how we can bring new things to the people, and specifically growing something from scratch, either as a team or a sect, or entering a new market. So that was always in my blood, to see.
So what was it specifically about ultrasound or healthcare in general that brought you into that area, that drew you to that direction?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was definitely my brother also, because if he was not involved, I would not do that easily, to be honest. So because he has these 20 years of research, and to be honest, like it took me like 3 years to convince him to do the spin-off. So it's like he's like purely academic guy, and but obviously like COVID changed that. And another thing with ultrasound was basically it's like this great technology that is like extremely underutilized. So because it is kind of like the biggest barrier was like the low image quality for ultrasound, and with his research, like with the AI that he with the algorithms that he had like developed, like we managed to overcome that problem. And then as soon as you see the possibilities, specifically on the early stage chronic disease management and like preventive monitoring, that has a huge potential, like not only on the revenue side, but more on the impact of to the people of the people to the people's lives. So I think that is kind of also kind of drew us like to make it like to do it faster, and then to create this impactful technology.
Was there a moment either in research or in your market research, your market response even, when you knew that this was more than just a concept, but that it was going to be a viable company?
Oh yeah, I mean that there were a couple. Like one is basically because what we can do basically like in our technology is basically we can, for the first time ever, we can enhance and isolate and integrate digital contrast on ultrasound image on the early stage to reveal like the shape, the characteristic of those tissues or tumors. So on the really early stages, which are not visible in traditional imaging. So and then showing the results and then comparing that with traditional methods, like okay, like what was used before us and what is right now, what can reveal our technology. That was one thing that kind of like having the feedback from the radiologists that we are working, or oncologists, saying that okay, like that can be definitely used on the early stage. That was one of the things that kind of give us a validation, like from the provider side, that yeah, with that powerful results, we can use that on the early stages. And another thing was that is as more on the impact side, we have done a small but impactful project in Africa, which is focused on younger women, like between 25 to 30 years old, like complications in early stage pregnancy, which is basically not very common in developed countries like US or Europe, but that's hugely avoidable. But at a smaller village, it's not basically, you cannot access care or like imaging. So we did work with midwives over there. So basically, like midwives were visiting villages, they were doing the scan, and with our technology, we were basically isolating early stage problems. And then seeing the results, like impacting, like reducing like the problems, like the mortality rate around like 20-25% in just a couple of months. That was like a huge also like approval on our technology that it can be much more scalable and much more impactful. I think those two said that okay, yes, there is this validation, and yes, we are bringing something different than it's already on the market.
So from a high level, for someone that's not technical and not deep into the healthcare space, can you kind of explain what your technology does and how it's making these improvements in people's lives?
Oh yeah, sure. You can basically think about like PONS system like as a night vision, like either it's like traditional night vision technology is like you see more clearer in the night, so it's either like certain technology. So what we do is basically we implement that into ultrasound, because traditional ultrasound is black and white. You just see basically like black dots, and if you have like more advanced system that are hugely expensive and not mobile, then you can see a little bit more. But still, it's used more on the later stages where tissues or tumors or lesions or whatever you want to see is much more bigger than basically than using another system. But in our case, what our system can do, like we can, like on a traditional image, ultrasound image, we can basically implement that night vision. So which means that we can basically we can show and reveal like how the shape of those tissues are on the really early stages. So because that's hugely important in oncology field, in cancer field, to see the shape and the surrounding, how the structures or muscles or veins or the blood flows around those tissues. So we can make that visible by implementing our technology, so that it can kind of like reveal how a certain disease moves from a high risk stage into a like early stage. So oncologists basically, like if an oncologist look at that image, look at the traditional image, he or she spends like 10, maybe 15 minutes, and needs another view or whatever. Well, with our technology, they spend like 5 minutes, and it's much more clear. That's what we implement in ultrasound.
That's fantastic. So from a business standpoint, who are you selling this product to? Who is your primary market?
So our primary market are like healthcare systems, like large healthcare systems, and like because healthcare itself, it's moving to be, as I said, for remote patient monitoring, hospital at home care, remote care options, and such. So those are our primary basically focus points. And then with that, like the whole model that we have is licensing to key stakeholders. Like it can be medical device companies, it can be healthcare systems themselves, or like remote care services providers, like for example Best Buy Health or Mayo Clinic or like Siemens GE. So any company that is basically providing these kind of technologies to the healthcare system, we are basically partnering up with them, licensing our technology to their existing system so that they don't need to invent a new platform or a new software. So it's basically integrated with them, and it's based on basically B2B sales, like, and then a subscription model depending on the number of the images that they use and create.
Okay. So how long have you guys been at this now, and how large is your team?
Oh, the research goes back, as I said, like specifically on ultrasound. Right now, we are focused on breast cancer and liver cancer. That goes back like around 10 years, but we are on the market like we kicked it off in 23. Right now, for the past 2 years, for the past 1 year, we are getting the results, and we are moving to the stage that additional like scaling up from here, basically like moving to other countries, but also other systems as well. And right now, we are two co-founders, and we have around like the team size is right now two co-founders plus 10 full-time employees. And then, yeah, as I said, we also have like these strategic partners like vendors that are using our technology in outside US as well.
Yeah, are you developing all the technology internally, or are you working with some partners on that?
All the patents that we have, like we have 4 patents in the field, they are all in-house. So with like it's as I said, it's basically my brother's research and his development, and he's leading the R&D and technical team right now. And everything that we have, like either like it's on the algorithm side or on the AI side or on the image enhancement feature, that's all in-house. So basically our algorithms that we develop. But the good thing is that, as I said, it is first device agnostic system. It works on any brand, any device, ultrasound device. And secondly, it's also platform agnostic. So basically we can integrate that. For example, if there is an AI platform focused on precision medicine or like personalized medicine, that we can also integrate as well.
Okay. So that leads us perfectly into our next topic, talking a little bit about AI and what the field of healthcare and technology is looking like right now. What kind of breakthroughs are you excited about, and how have the rapid developments in AI technology over the last couple of years impacted your technology and your ability to develop your product?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, specifically, healthcare is kind of right now changing really fast. So basically, everyone was thinking that it's kind of it will be as it is, like slowly, but it will change something. But right now, it's happening extremely fast. Especially what's happening recently right now with the recent developments with AI, which is basically either like AI driven like diagnostics or AI driven treatment options and such. It is moving to be more like remote, like, okay, can we, before that it was more, okay, can we reduce the readmissions? But right now it's more, okay, we need to reduce admissions in the first place. So, and then give care like remotely, triage patients remotely, either at home or like in certain facilities, but not always in the hospital. So that is happening really fast. And even right now, like large healthcare systems, they are all even preparing like in the coming years, like 1 to 2 years, like moving chemotherapy patients at home. So providing that therapy at home, which means that that will be like a hugely decentralized network. And AI plays a key role here because it's not only like doing like giving feedbacks, but it's also like enhancing the capabilities of different technologies. For example, one of the things that I am really excited about is there are also studies on like bringing MRI like on a level that it can be used like anywhere, like not at homes, but it can be used on a more smaller clinics as well, like making a small version of the MRIs and such. So like those kind of like bringing those large and expensive systems to a level that it can be used in the mass market that's a huge development in the AI. And in our field, it's basically because ultrasound has this potential also to create a massive amount of diverse data set because it is mobile, it can reach to anyone. And I think in the AI field, it is becoming extremely important to have diverse data sets from different age groups, different races, spatial races, and different backgrounds and such. And because that will play a key role in AI to have these diverse data sets to train the systems. And that's also, I think, becoming interesting right now.
How are medical professionals responding to AI and utilization in their practices? Is there a concern about it being a threat to their jobs in some regard? Are they very skeptical that the outputs are actually legitimate and trustworthy? What are you seeing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think if we had that discussion or conversation like 5 years ago, they were not really keen on trying it out or using or not, or they were not believing in that in the pace that okay, like AI will be so fast moving into the field. So because they were thinking that yes, first of all, yeah, okay, like is it gonna replace me? Is it do or is what happens if those AI systems do something wrong? Am I liable or is the company that's developing the AI liable and such? But recently there has been a shift because one of the things that we also think is important, like not developing like an AI technology that is for replacing something, but more that is basically like moving as an assistant to an existing system, which is doctors. So it's basically like a non-stop working assistant to a doctor that makes it life easier for them. For example, in our case, we never move into that field that we will say, oh, okay, PONS will do AI-driven diagnosis of early-stage cancer. No, we never do that. We are more basically, okay, it's a tool that helps radiologists or oncologists to reduce time spent for a patient. So because that's their biggest, they want to have a system that can free up more time for them, that can optimize the results, so that it can help them to kind of like come to a conclusion faster. So having said that, right now the engagement level is unbelievably high. So it's like they are really interested in using these kind of technologies, and they are also like giving feedbacks. That's also, I think, one of the things that really excites me as well. They are not only using that, but they are also giving feedback. Okay, it should be like that. If I see that, it will be really great and such, which also shows that they are ready to use that in a much more bigger and scalable level. And that's also related with as I said, with the new approach in how we receive care as well. And right now, I think it's extremely promising. And the only thing is basically maybe the barrier is the regulation is still basically behind. So the curve. So it's really moving really slow if you compare it with the speed of development in the AI. But other than that, I think the engagement level from the providers is very, very promising.
Where do you see things going in terms of regulation and in terms of that big issue you brought up, the liability issue, when you've got AI involved in some of these diagnoses? Obviously, ultimately, it's the human doctor that's making the final call, but the AI is having an increasingly large input into that process. So where do you see that going?
I think as long as in that case, I think especially when it comes to AI, it should never be a standalone thing. So it should always be linked or connected with a real human, which is doctor. So it can provide them much more feedbacks without needing like real human involved in the loop. So that's the best thing. And on the liability side, I think we still have the biggest problem in AI in healthcare is that the existing AI systems, the data that those AI systems are trained, they are really not diverse. So if you say like 80%, let's say for I will give you an example, like around like 80% of the data that is used that comes from the hospitals right now, and 100 nearly like even more, like 90% of those data comes from, let's say, white people that are basically more living in city centers, or like people with more high income that can afford that. So that's the bigger challenge in AI, I think, because if you train that system with a certain type of data, it is becoming like biased really fast, and then you cannot trust the results. And that is one of the reasons why like healthcare is kind of interested in, okay, can we decentralize that? Can we get more data? Can we create more diverse data set from different age groups and such? As soon as we reach that level that we can say that, okay, like the existing data that is used for training AI systems is like 100% diverse with really different stages and such, that will be the breakthrough moment. I think that also the regulators will accept the fact that, okay, yeah, that will make a huge difference. But until at that point, it will be again like a more a gray area about how we who's liable, like, really.
So we talked a little bit about what the doctors think of the AI. What do the medical device companies think of the technology and the software that's now interfacing with some of their physical hardware?
Sure. I mean, yeah, the thing is that with the device manufacturers or other, let's say, vendors in the field, so I think they were still thinking that they have still time. So like, okay, like hospitals will be there. We are our devices will be used by the providers and in the hospital settings and such. So, but that's not the case right now. So obviously, and what they do is right now, which is also a bit promising for either early stage companies or like companies that are in the level of moving to be scale ups. They are hugely interested in like either joint ventures, collaborations, or acquisitions. So specifically software companies, like, because they don't have that time anymore to do a research for 5 years and then, okay, roll it out. But right now they are even acquiring like seed stage companies, for example, like seed stage AI solutions, software solutions that is implementable to their existing system, and then moving from there, basically acquiring IP portfolios, acquiring those companies, software solutions, and then so that it can help them to move more on a mobile care settings as well. And I think that like all those large names are really pretty active in the last 2 or 3 years to do those, even like, as I said, early stage acquisitions.
So that's a perfect transition back into the business side of things. So what is your ultimate goal with your company? Are you guys looking to build a big company and expand into other verticals eventually? Or is this something that you're kind of building out to be acquired by one of these hardware companies?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was more okay to be acquired by a large company. But after we see or experience the value of the data that we are creating, which is like the interesting thing in healthcare is like there were two types of data that was used. So one from healthy people, secondly from like late stage people, like stage 2, stage 3, 4. But all those data were created again in the hospital settings. And there is this huge gap in between data, which means that there is these population that are in a high risk group that don't have symptoms, but they are developing fast those like early symptoms. That is missing. That was missing, and that's exactly where we fit in. And after seeing the value of the data, we have this new strategy that, okay, we can be the platform that is the data platform that is creating high quality imaging data on that stage that can be integrated in pharma industry for biomarkers, for example, for personalized medicine, for other AI platforms that would like to use that and upload their own images, get the results, integrate to their own flow. So therefore, our basically mid to long term goal is to become that platform that anyone can use, even like end users, consumers, like patients itself. They have like their own data, on patient data, imaging data that can upload it. They can have much more resolution and then share that for second opinion with other radiologists, for example. So, and our goal is to become that big platform that is basically right in the middle, like providing the access, providing the results, and then integrating that to different verticals in healthcare. And that's our approach.
What kind of issues have you run into in terms of protecting privacy data? Obviously, what HIPAA compliance
Yes.
is huge for this area.
It
How are
is.
you able to protect your patients and hospital data?
Yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, first of all, we don't like our system runs on existing like EMR, EHR systems or existing healthcare systems. So we don't take anything out. We don't store anything outside those systems. So basically, that's one thing. And the second thing is that like our system, we have this system that is basically filtering out personalized information from images. So which means that it's not even if that image has the, for example, like has the patient data, it basically filters out all the data. It only looks to the image, which is like, let's say in the middle. So it basically filters all the other information from the image. So which also creates these anonymized results. With that, we are also protecting the privacy of the person as well. But last, and as I said, like it is also what we do is like it's not like we are getting the data and we are storing on our side and using that. It's no, like it's basically integrated to existing systems so that like at the end of the day, the patient owns the data. That's our approach. We just provide much more resolution, much more information, much more extracting, much more information, and then they can decide what to do and either it's like on the provider side or on the patient side.
So what are your goals for the next, say, 12 months for the company? What are you focusing currently on product, on revenue, on expansion into other areas?
We are extremely focused on right now scaling the project that we have. So we have an ongoing projects that we are achieving extremely interesting results with Mayo Clinic. And our plans is also to start with Memorial Sloan Kettering, with a couple of pharmaceutical companies like Chiesi Pharma. We have an ongoing project with Roche. We want to basically see how we can integrate the data into different studies. Like in case with pharma industry, like okay, can we integrate that into clinical studies for extracting biomarkers? That's the goal for the following 12 months to use that to scale up these projects and then specifically do the publications on the results as well, because I think that's also getting a lot of attention from not only from players within the healthcare system, but also from other players that are interested in using the data for, as I said, for different AI applications.
So what would you say a breakout year would look like for you guys?
I think one of the things that will be interesting for us is to see how the system basically impacts like people's life. For example, like if we can avoid like biopsies in a certain stage, or if we can catch something really early on that even that they don't need biopsy, they can start treating right away. And then publishing those results, that will be like something that we would like to kind of see that happen. We already have that first science, so with the Mayo results and such. So that will be our end, like ultimate goal for the short term that we would like to see and happen.
And then from a business side, how are you guys keeping the lights on? Because obviously there's a lot of costs that go into doing research and trials and things like that.
Yeah.
So where does the financial side fit into this?
Yeah, I agree. Especially in life sciences, biotech is kind of different animal. So, and we have of course, on the other hand, we have like early stage investors that kind of like that supported us really early on. And secondly, also, especially last year, we received also a couple of grants, like with around like a little bit over $700,000. So within US, but also in Europe as well. So there is new approach with Europe and US, like with these collaborative like programs and announced grant programs, and they were extremely helpful, especially if you are really deep tech and R&D focused. So that was kind of like our biggest advantage. And also we have these partners that are also covering certain costs for us, especially because those projects are extremely expensive as well. So that is also helping us kind of like to move forward faster than usual.
So is there kind of a part of the business that you try to gear towards the selling side, towards growing the business itself, as well as the medical side? And how do you balance that?
Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I think one of the things that we have in that as an advantage is my brother. He's like in the field of radiology AI. He's basically, as I said, an academic person. He's a prof. That is helping us to keep like the research, the medical side like alive and like pushing it forward. And on the business side, I think one of the things that is kind of like helping us to grow, let's say to scale and like to kind of like also more to speak with different people is like the data value. I think that is on the other side. I think we have on the business side we have this approach of like having this data approach, which means that okay, like we can create that data which was not there before, but which is much more like detailed and much more basically like much more enhanced, as I said as well. So that is how we balance these two parts, like the business side, the scaling fast side, but also not losing the connection with the medical field and medical research field. So that's kind of correlated within each other.
What you say is the biggest bottleneck or challenge that you're facing right now in as you try to grow the
Okay.
company?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is basically, yeah, definitely like every scaling up company, we need more funding because the thing in medical field, like in life sciences, is like basically okay, you move slow in the beginning, but then all of a sudden it moves extremely fast. So like not like regularly like a linear, but it's more like really like a huge fast track. So in order to keep up and in order not to lose the momentum that we have right now, because as I said, we are right in the beginning of like this shift in the care healthcare. One of the things is obviously like okay, like right now with the existing environment, the investments are not really keeping it up and such. And also, as I said, the second barrier is again coming back to the like I think the regulations. So they are not as moving as fast as the system or like the network or the ecosystem is moving. Those two things are still like a big hurdle for us.
So if hypothetically, if you had a magic wand and could fix one thing in the business or in the environment right now that's either holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
Oh, I think that will be definitely adjusting the regulations and connected with that the reimbursement structure. So like basically wanting that and then saying okay, like those technologies for remote care will be reimbursed, will be kind of fast regulated. Let's say I will do that definitely because that will make a huge impact on people's life. It's not only for generating revenue; it will make like huge impact for minorities, low-income families, low-income countries, and that will be my basic choice.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, this has been a great conversation, so I really appreciate it. If you're interested in following his journey, where can people find you and learn more about what you're doing?
So yeah, we are extremely active and engaged on LinkedIn. They can find us because we are also publishing results and also like new developments on their on LinkedIn platform. So they can find us under PONS Tech. So and then we are very responsive and looking forward to connecting with everyone that's interested in the field.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And thank you everyone for listening. Please be sure to subscribe, leave us a review. And as always, keep pitching, keep building, and keep scaling.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pitch, Build, Scale. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.